Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about some anticipated July releases, and there are so many amazing sounding fantasy books coming out in the month of July. So I'm so excited to share this list with you. Most of these are fantasy. There are only 3 at the very end that I'll mention that are not fantasy, but I have such a good list of fantasy books. I'm so excited. Why July is such a good month for fantasy, I have no idea, but let's get right into it. The first book I have for you is Blood Over Bright Haven by M.L. Wong. And M.L. Wong, as a lot of you may know, is the author of The Sword of Kaigen. And I have been anxiously awaiting whatever else she wants to put out. Anything else she wanted to release, I was going to add to my TBR and read, because The Sword of Kaigen is amazing. That book made me sob. And it sounds like this Blood Over Bright Haven book is her next standalone fantasy book that's being released. Now, it looks like, upon some investigation, this is going to come out first on Kindle only, is what I'm seeing on Amazon, and it looks like the release date is July 25th from what I'm seeing. It says something different on Goodreads, so if anyone knows for sure the official release date and release strategy and whether or not like a physical copy of this book will be available on release day, let me know. But this is what I've found from my research. So July 25th on Kindle, this Blood Over Bright Haven says that it is about magic that has made the city of Tehran an industrial utopia, but magic has a cost and the collectors have come calling. It is a standalone dark academia brimming with mystery, tragedy, and the damning echoes of the past. And it looks like a novella. So again, I'm going to read whatever M.L. Wong puts out. I am not gonna lie, I wish this was a full-length novel. I'm not a huge fan of novellas, but if this is what she's releasing, this is what I will read. So we'll see how I get on with this, and hopefully it is truly being released this month. If anyone has more information, please feel free to comment that down below. The next one I have is The Weaver and the Witch Queen by Genevieve Gornichuk. This is one I added to my list because I've previously read The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichuk, and I really enjoyed that book. I thought it was a beautiful mythology retelling, Norse mythology inspired. This one, it says, is about the lives of 2 women, one desperate only to save her missing sister, the other a witch destined to become Queen of Norway, intertwine in this spellbinding, powerful novel of Viking Age history and myth. So it sounds like, again, this is another Norse mythology retelling, and I just really liked this author's writing style. I thought her prose was beautiful. So this one, it looks like, is coming out July 25th, and I can't wait to pick it up. The next one I have, I actually will most likely, I think, be receiving from a book subscription box that I am subscribed to. So I know I'll be getting to this hopefully soon, but it is The Jassad Heir by Sarah Hashem. So this is a debut novel, and it is Egyptian-inspired debut fantasy about a fugitive queen who strikes a deadly bargain with her greatest enemy and finds herself embroiled in a complex game that could resurrect her scorched kingdom or leave it in ashes forever. Sounds super cool. I love that we're getting all of these different fantasy worlds inspired by so many different areas and cultures. So this Egyptian-inspired debut fantasy, I'm very excited to check out. I don't think I've read anything that is Egyptian-inspired, so really excited to see what this debut author has, and hopefully it's a great one. It's being released on July 18th. The next one I have is The Pomegranate Gate by Ariel Kaplan. So this is one that looks like it is the first in a new series called the Mirror Realm Cycle, and the cover, oh my goodness, is gorgeous. It is being released on July 20th, and it says it is about Toba Perez, who can speak but she can't shout. She can walk but she can't run, and she can write in 5 languages with both hands at the same time. Naphtali Kreskis dreams every night of an orange-eyed stranger. When awake, he sees things that aren't real, and he carries a book that he can never lose and never read. When the queen of Sepharad orders all the nation's Jews to leave or convert, Toba and Naphtali are forced to flee, but an unlucky encounter leaves them both separated from their caravan. Lost in the wilderness, Toba follows an orange-eyed stranger through a mysterious gate in a pomegranate grove, leaving Naphtali behind. With a single step, Toba enters an ancient world that mirrors her own. There she finds that her fate and Naphtali's are bound to an ancient conflict threatening to destroy both realms. So I think it sounds amazing. I'm very intrigued by that premise. So very excited to check this one out. I'll be curious to see what the early reviews are saying of it. But so far it has a pretty good Goodreads rating. So I'm excited. The next one I have is Darkwater Daughter by H.M. Long. This is an author who has previously put out some more fantasy books. I believe they previously had released, what was that series called? It was a series of like companion novels starting with, that's right, Hall of Smoke, Temple of No God, and Barrow of Winter. So it sounds like this is a completely new series, and it is pirates. So fantasy pirates, I'm all here for it. I love anything pirate related. So this one says it is a storm singer and a pirate hunter that join forces against a deathless pirate lord in this swashbuckling Jacobean adventure on the high seas. Launching the Winter Sea series full of magic, betrayal, redemption, and fearsome women for readers of Adrienne Young, R.J. Barker, and Naomi Novik. Very excited. So anything pirate related, I'm totally going to check out. And at first I thought this was young adult, but it does look like it is definitely adult fantasy. So let me know if you also are going to be checking this one out, because I'm excited for it. The next one is definitely one of my most anticipated of the year, and it is called The Sun and the Void by Gabriela Romero Lacruz. So this is the first book in the Warring Gods series. It is coming out July 25th, and it says, in a lush world inspired by the history and folklore of South America, a sweeping epic fantasy of colonialism, ancient magic, and two young women's quest for belonging unfolds. The early reviews of this one have me a little bit nervous because I have been seeing some of my friends start to read this and not love it, and the Goodreads reviews are not amazing right now. However, I still think that this is worth me checking out for myself because it's been so anticipated for me. I haven't checked out anything from this author before, and I just love fantasy worlds inspired by cultures I've never read from before or areas of the world I've never really been to before. So this one sounds like one that I could really enjoy, and I'm really hoping I love it. The next one I have is called Thief, Liar, Lady by D.L. Soria. So this is one that is being released on July 11th, and it is a fantasy retelling. It says, happily ever after is a total scam, but at least this time the princess is the one controlling the grift until her true love arrives and threatens to ruin the whole scheme. Intrigue, magic, and wit abound in this Cinderella fairy tale reimagining, perfect for fans of Heather Walter and Naomi Novik. Lots of comps to Naomi Novik, I'm noticing. So I really like retellings. I think Cinderella fairy tale retelling sounds like fun, and it sounds like this is going to have a little bit of a kind of fun tone to it. So I'm intrigued by this one. The cover is absolutely stunning, and the fact that the concept is, if Cinderella's ball wasn't serendipitous and romantic, but rather the result of careful plotting by a family of magical con artists, I mean, sign me up. The next one I have is also being released on July 11th. Tons and tons of books being released on July 11th. It is called Ebony Gate by Julia V. and Ken Babel. This is the first book in the Phoenix Horde series, and it says it is a female John Wick story with dragon magic set in contemporary San Francisco's Chinatown. I mean, that's awesome. Emiko Soong belongs to one of the 8 premier magical families of the world, but Emiko never needed any magic because she is the blade of the Soong clan, or was, until she's drenched in blood in the middle of a market in China, surrounded by bodies and the scent of blood and human waste as a lethal perfume. The Butcher of Beijing now lives a quiet life in San Francisco, importing antiques, but when a Shinigami, a god of death itself, calls in a family blood debt, Emiko must recover the Ebony Gate that holds back the hungry ghosts of the Yomi underworld, or forfeit her soul as the anchor. What's a retired assassin to do but save the city by the bay from an army of the dead? Sign me up, sign me up. Sounds like so much fun. And it does sound like this is definitely Japanese inspired by the description there. And I love anything Japanese inspired. If you didn't know, I used to live in Japan and I'm obsessed with Japan. So anything Japanese inspired, I'm just instantly here for. So I'm very excited. I love exploring Japanese lore. The whole idea of a Shinigami being involved in this story makes me very intrigued. So very excited to check it out, and it has really good early reviews, so yay. The next one I have is The Saint of Bright Doors by Vajra Chandrasekhara. And this is one that looks like it is more potentially literary kind of fantasy. It says it sets the high drama of divine revolutionaries and transcendent cults against the mundane struggles of modern life, resulting in a novel that is revelatory and resonant. This is one that I'm definitely intrigued by and really want to see some reviews come out before I check it out for myself, because depending on like the prose and the writing and execution of the story, this could be something that I absolutely love, or it could be something I could see not working as well for me. So I'm very curious to see what some reviewers will be saying about this one. But from the initial reviews, at least on Goodreads, it looks like it's very kind of divided, like a lot of people loving it and a lot of people not so much. So very intrigued by this. The concept itself sounds very intriguing, and the cover is also very intriguing. So this one comes out again on July 11th. My goodness, that date. The next one I have is one that I'm sure is on a lot of people's radar. It is Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. Chloe Gong wrote that best-selling YA fantasy series that was like inspired by Romeo and Juliet. Oh geez, what was the name? I don't remember the name. I didn't read that series, but this is her first adult fantasy debut, and I'm very curious. I'm always curious to check out when YA fantasy authors kind of go into adult, how it ends up working out. This one says it's inspired by Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra and is a fiery collision of power plays, spilled blood, and romance amidst a set of deadly games. So this one definitely sounds like it's going to lean a little bit heavier on the romance, which again isn't like something that initially like draws me to a book, but it's something where as long as the fantasy aspects of it are still very well realized and the romance is kind of just the cherry on top, then I'm very happy to have a well-written romance in a fantasy book. So I'm very intrigued by this. I know this is another one that's coming in a book subscription box that I'm subscribed to, so I will definitely be checking it out, and I'm just curious to see how this author's writing style will end up working for me. And I'm very intrigued because I know a lot of people are going to be reading this, so I'm very curious to see what those early reviewers are going to be saying about it. We will see. The next one I have is one that I actually do own myself, and it is The Judas Blossom by Stephen Aryan, which is the first book in the Nightingale and the Falcon series, which is a brand new Persian-inspired fantasy series by this author. And I've previously read The Coward and the Warrior by Stephen Aryan, and I really enjoyed them. I really liked Stephen Aryan's writing style. It's just the quest story isn't my favorite to read in fantasy, but this one, it sounds like it is completely different in tone and tropes from that duology, and this one sounds like something that's really up my alley. So it says it's an imaginative and sprawling epic fantasy reimagining of the Mongol Empire's invasion of Persia, and it follows the lives and treacherous journeys of 4 key figures in the heart of war. So I love any kind of wartime fantasy, military fantasy. I really, really enjoy that type of stuff, especially if it leans heavy into like the political machinations behind the war. So this is one that I can totally see myself loving, and I'm really, really excited to check it out. So this is definitely one I will be reading and reviewing hopefully early in July. This one officially comes out July 11th so that I can get that review up for you so that you know whether or not you want to pick it up. So I'm very excited. Those were all of the fantasy books that I had. That was so many, and if you didn't catch that, most of those are coming out on July 11th. July 11th is a huge release day for fantasy books. So now I have 3 others that aren't totally fantasy that I also wanted to call out because I'm still very excited for these three. The first being The Deep Sky by Yume Kitase. So this is one that says it's more science fiction mystery, and it's a debut. And it says it is an enthralling sci-fi thriller debut about a mission into deep space that begins with a lethal explosion that leaves the survivors questioning the loyalty of the crew. They left Earth to save humanity. They'll have to save themselves first. I really like these types of stories. I mean, the first review that I see on Goodreads is very promising. It says an epic space odyssey that seamlessly blends the genres of science fiction, mystery, and thriller, leaving you on the edge of your seat and craving for more. So I really want to check this one out. I think it sounds so good. I love sci-fi thrillers. The next one I have is Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. I have read two Catherine Center books. I did end up DNFing one of them that I read, but I really enjoyed two of her books that I've read. One of them being one of my favorites. It's like a 5-star book for me, How to Walk Away. Love that book. And this is her newest release, her newest romance contemporary book. Our main character apparently is diagnosed with a probably temporary condition known as face blindness. So she can see, but every face she looks at is now a jumbled puzzle of disconnected features. As she struggles to cope with this new diagnosis, she is falling in love with not one man, but two very different ones. And it just sounds like this could be a lot of fun and also quite sweet. And I just really like Catherine Center's writing style. I like her characters, except in the one that I DNF'd. Was not a fan of the character in that one, but the other two books I read, I really enjoyed. So definitely want to check this one out. And I've heard really good things about Catherine Center's other release from last year, I think, The Bodyguard, which I haven't read yet and I would really like to. So, and then the last one I have is another author I've read from before that I really enjoy, and it is A Twisted Love Story by Samantha Downing. So I've now read For Your Own Good and My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing, and both of those books were 4 stars. So I really enjoy Samantha Downing's thrillers. I think that they're a lot of fun and have very intriguing characters that are horrible people but are so much fun to read about. So this is one that says it is about these two people who are madly in love, but they have a really toxic relationship where they're always on and off. They have really good times, but they also have really bad ones, and they are in this kind of vicious cycle of breakups and then getting back together. And apparently they have this night that is the worst of their breakup, and one of them ends up taking things too far and someone ends up dead. And so things go from there, and I'm just here for it. Again, Samantha Downing has a way of writing characters that are just really bad people, but you just can't look away from their stories. So I'm very intrigued by this. I think the early reviews look pretty promising. So I'm excited to check it out. So those are all of the releases for the month of July that I'm looking forward to. Are there any books that I didn't call out in this video that you are also really looking forward to? And then what is one new release that you're planning on picking up next month? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!